Your portfolio is an opportunity to stand out from the crowd, but it requires an expert eye and dedicated focus to telling your design story. Hi, my name's Jason Fox, and I've been teaching in the graphic design department at the Savannah College of Art and Design for over 15 years and chaired the department for the last 5 years. In this course, you'll learn what it takes to create an expertly curated portfolio that reveals who you are as a designer. Design is an action taken to solve a problem, and your portfolio should present your ability to provide predictable results through excellent work. Before you start, you'll need to answer a few questions. Why are you interested in developing your portfolio? What kind of designer are you? What value do you bring to a design team? Not just in your opinion, but ask yourself, why do people call on me? Why am I valued? Where do I want to go? And what job or position am I looking for? What does all of my public-facing content say about me? Can I use it? Should I use it? Choosing to build your portfolio is an incredible self-evaluation of your career and your work to this point. It can also be liberating and humbling when you sit back and take it all in. Chances are, whether you're a seasoned professional or a student looking to step out into the world, you have a large breadth of work you'll need to curate and a complex story to tell. Let's get started. If you have access to the exercise files for this course, you can download them to your desktop as I've done here. An example here is the mission statement exercise. As you can see, there's an opportunity to provide keywords that focus on your values or your career goals, and use those words to help rough in some of your mission statement options. Remember, don't get too carried away. Just quick little words that identify who you are. If you don't have access to the exercise files, that's okay. You can still follow along by answering the questions that I ask on your own throughout the course. This course is for anyone looking to update their portfolio at any point in their career. It reimagines the role of your portfolio from a passive representation of finished work to an in-depth story of the designer you are. It aims to reveal the intricacies that make you a unique and necessary part of any design team. If you're watching this video, you're probably considering a change in your career, a new position, or just a refresh on your existing portfolio. Start researching where you want to showcase your portfolio. If you have no intention of being a web designer, template-based options may be right for you. If your goal is a career in web design, you probably need to code a custom site. Start researching those web options now. Much of the portfolio development process is about organization and documentation. Grab a pen and some paper and get ready to take a close look at your work and how it represents you. So no matter where you are in your career, this course intends to provide the guidance necessary to build a portfolio that points to today's design professions. Building or updating your portfolio can be a daunting task. In this chapter, we'll cover the things you need to consider before getting started. Portfolios are about building trust above all else, and a clear direction will help you stay focused and prevent random clutter from seeping into your work. Portfolios are not about the work alone, they're about the designer. So what's your goal? Do you know where you want to go? Do you understand where you've been? Can you tell that story? What's your core skill and how do you want to represent it throughout your work? Are you an idea person? Is typography your strong suit? Is software your calling card? Do you happen to use a unique process? All of these things will help you identify how to tell your story. Begin to think about making that decision now. What's your existing personal brand? Do you have one? Is it old or dated? Do you need to update it? Is it necessary? What's your social persona? And is it consistent? Are you telling the same story throughout your social networks? Is this something that needs to be curated? When auditing your work, you may be considering your objective. I want a new job or position. I want to move up in the company. But those aren't missions. Those aren't values. Missions and values serve the bigger picture. They serve who you are and not what you want. We'll take a look at developing a mission next. Building your portfolio can be overwhelming, whether it's the first time or whether you're updating after a long career. Curating your message and knowing where you want to go is critically important. Once you've made up your mind, Begin to make it visible in the work that you've chosen. Not all work is good work. Be sure that the work you select in this early stage is work that you want to represent your core skills and values as a designer. If you don't want to be a web designer, reduce the number of websites you show. But don't worry too much right now. Your primary goal at this point is to gather the work that you're going to choose from. Begin noting your core competencies through auditing your work. Again, what do you do well? Start collecting that work and begin categorizing it in the areas that you think are the areas that you want to show yourself off. Don't worry about getting lost in the details. We can edit the work later. At this point, we just want to collect everything that's worthy of going into your portfolio or may be considered. Don't worry about getting too specific right now. What's important is to get all of the work that you think is worthy of showcasing who you are and the skills that you bring to any new position. By now, you should be collecting all of the work that you think could represent you. But remember, portfolios are about building trust, and a clear direction will help you stay focused and prevent random clutter from seeping into your message, and more importantly, your decisions. It's time to establish your mission. Remember, we're going to keep it simple. Your mission is your mission, nobody else's. What's right for you may not be right for somebody else, so don't get lost in the opinions of others. Be specific and avoid dressing up the language too much. No more than 2 sentences are necessary in any mission statement. You may be considering your objective: to find a job in the packaging field. Objectives aren't missions. A mission statement serves the bigger picture. It serves who you are and not what you want. A mission may be to make brands more user-friendly through user-centered design practices. That serves the bigger picture, doesn't get too fluffy, and doesn't leave a whole lot of room for interpretation. Keep it simple, 1 sentence or 2. Stay away from details. Reduce adjectives and descriptors to a minimum. Don't get too fluffy with your language. If you say great design, well, who defines great? What does great mean in the context of your statement? If you're in a good mood, does great mean one thing? If maybe you're not in such a good place, maybe great means another. Post it around your home or office, your car, your lock screen on your phone. Make it visible so that you're reminded to guide your decisions by it. If the clear goal is not aligned with your mission, it may not be right. Be cautious posting your mission to your social networks right away. The congratulations chatter that may follow could give you a false sense that you've accomplished something. Your mission is a guiding light, not a completed task. Post wins informed by your mission whenever you can. As you develop your portfolio, each step needs to be defined by your mission. When you're questioning a decision, read your mission. Is the decision aligned? Does the decision follow the mission? If the answer is yes, let's do it. If the answer is no, move on. Now that we've talked about missions, it's time to give it a try. In the exercise files that I provided, begin noting your values and what career goals you want to achieve. Write that mission statement down. Get it on paper. Keep it simple. If you start getting lost in extra words and too many sentences, stop. Rephrase. 1 to 2 sentences are all that you need. Go easy on the fluff. Adjectives, verbs, extra descriptors aren't necessary. Your mission should clearly define a direction, how you'll accomplish it, and where you want to go. Mission statements often live in beta, so update it. Don't worry about getting it right the first time. Get it out there and edit it on the fly. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out or a seasoned professional. Part of knowing how to get where you want to go is defining the destination. A dream job can be described in many ways. It can be determined by location, the scope of the projects and clients that companies are working on, the reputation of the business and its work, among many other things. But where do you want to go, both geographically and occupationally? What defines success for you? All of these questions will help you narrow your idea of a dream job. In this video, you'll learn to set a clear path for the next phase of your design career. Perceptions versus reality. The dangers of relying solely on the reputation of a company's project may not give you a glimpse into the work environment or geographic locations that you have the opportunity to work. Location scouting. What area of the country or what area of the globe are you interested in? Do you want to live close to home? Do you want to travel to far-off countries? All of this plays in to defining your dream job. Alumni, friends, family. Is there a support system in the area or even at the job you're seeking? Can you reach out to folks and find out more? Set your expectations high, but understand what you're willing to endure and where you're willing to draw the line. Do you want to work long hours or live in a new area or even earn less pay to work at a company with a big name or high-profile clients? So what are some of the steps you can take to get started? In the exercise file that I provided, list the businesses, firms, companies, and organizations you think you want to work with. Categorize them by reputation, quality of work, quality of the clients that they work with, or maybe even the size of the company and the location. List the locations around the country and even the globe you'd consider relocating to. Have you vacationed there? Have you visited? Do you know folks in the area? Are there places that you think that you can see yourself working? Categorize them by why you'd consider working there. Familiarity, adventure, quality of life, cost of living, industries relevant to your skills. All of this information is going to help you craft a portfolio and curate a message that's specific to the dream job you're looking for. Reach out to people who are employed at your dream job. Ask them through your professional networks like Twitter or LinkedIn and find out more about the organizations. Again, all of these pieces will help you make a better decision when defining your dream job. Your portfolio is a story. It's the culmination of your experience, your work, and your growth as a designer. The delivery of your portfolio message should mirror the arc of a compelling story. It reveals where you've been, who you are, your skills, and your craft. What story do you want to tell? Or worse, what story are you telling? Begin to audit all of the assets that are communicating who you are. Now that you've collected all of your work, it's time to set the current state. Catalog all of the visible assets that represent you in some way, not just your work, but your website, your resume, any leave-behinds, mailings, Instagram persona, Twitter handles, LinkedIn profile. All are part of your story. What story are you telling? What are you working on now? What work reveals your growth as a designer? Be cautious presenting work, projects, and styles for skills that may no longer be relevant. Either techniques, software, digital platforms that are no longer relevant may send the wrong message. Unless the project is instantly recognizable and the reputation of that project is the defining value. For example, a decade-old project that is recognizable, memorable in the public space may provide a hint into the trust that somebody can have in you as a designer working on large projects. Just the thought, "I remember that," by a hiring manager could be positive. Make sure all of your work is relevant for today's design market. The job of a hiring manager is first and foremost to identify great work, so show great work. Secondarily, hiring managers need to determine how consistent the results are throughout your work. As you catalog your work, be sure to make notes on what role you played in team-based projects and collect process that led to the results being presented. You'll need this later. Know your story, understand your mission, and know who your audience is. You'll want to craft your message appropriately. The story should be crafted to send a clear message of who you are as a designer and creative thinker, and clearly represent where and what you're trying to achieve. A mission centered on empathy and user-centered design must be revealed in a portfolio that tells that story. Take a look through your work and find the areas that help you tell that story. Now's the time to collect all of the assets that represent you. Not just your portfolio items, but your online persona. Take screenshots of online social spaces and categorize them. Which ones are personal? Which ones are professional? Which ones are too casual? Which ones are in a good place for representing you as a professional? Collect all of the work you plan to use in your portfolio, as well as any formal documents. Old work versus new work. Web work versus print work. Digital versus mobile. Environmental versus virtual. All of these categories can help you get a sense of which work to use in your story. Great work is paramount to a good portfolio, but good work has become ubiquitous throughout the design world. Pre-existing templates, mimicry, and the proliferation of excellent design education are all reasons for this. With that in mind, showing only finished work doesn't tell the entire story and won't separate you from the crowd. How did you come to the result? Who is your audience? Why did you make the decisions you're presenting? All of these questions are critical for success in today's job market. Your process is a window into how you design, not just what you design. If you consider design to be a verb, an action taken to solve a problem, then show your action. A poster is just a poster, and a box is just a box. Design is the process used to create, and process reveals the designer. It gives a sense of trust and provides some idea of the expected predictability of your results and the consistency in which you create great work. There are different ways to show process, and you'll need to decide which is best for you. First, determine what processes you're able to show. Some projects may be under non-disclosure agreement, or otherwise known as NDAs. Others may have been created on such a tight deadline that there was no visible process. And still others, you may just not have kept the process. But don't worry. You don't have to show a process for every project, and you don't have to show all of the process on a single project. Consider your process story and determine a strategy for showing your process. Do you draw well? And will you show sketches only? Is ideation your unique skill? Can you show the ability to categorize problems through images of affinitizing sticky notes, word maps, lists, or photographs of team-based problem solving? All of this helps deliver the message that you not only create great work, you do it in a thoughtful manner that results in predictable outcomes. Your process is about your ideas. It's about how you work and the predictability of your results. Process builds trust by pulling back the curtain on your design habits. When deciding on what projects in which you intend to reveal process, consider the consistency of your message. How and what will you show? How much is too much? What are you able to show? All of these questions come in the planning phase. Collect all of the process you have for all of your projects and use the audit sheet provided in the exercise files to begin organizing your process based on the questions I've asked in this video. Once you know what you're working with, consider your strategy for revealing your process throughout your portfolio. Global process, or lifestyle process, describes all of the external habits and visible activities related to how you inspire yourself in your daily life. Your travel activities, random thoughts, the images you capture in your daily life that give viewers a hint of how you see the world. All of this is global or lifestyle process. Design is the culmination of your experiences and your worldview applied to your craft. Curate your Instagram and other social feeds to clearly describe your point of view on design projects, people, scenes, landscapes, products, objects, and places. That's not to say you should provide commentary on design. It's intended to be a positive message through relevant content via your social persona. Lifestyle process should be isolated in its own dedicated space, not attached to any one individual project. Consider providing a dedicated page to your website that reveals these images, sketches, notes, and doodles. They won't point to a specific project, nor should they. Your images may just capture a one-of-a-kind distress sign you noticed on a back road drive through the country, or a great menu design you experienced at a dinner. Global process or lifestyle process can be a good way to provide a peek into who you are as a design observer and the way you view the world through your own lens. Global process can be difficult to curate. Not everything's relevant. Do you travel often? Have you traveled lately? What do you enjoy photographing? Are the pages in your sketchbook worth showing in your portfolio? Do you write down your thoughts or take notes in an interesting way worthy of display? Everything's not relevant. Be careful what you place in your global process. The wrong image can send the wrong message. Cultural insensitivity and inappropriate glimpses into recreational habits can betray your attempt at letting viewers into your thought process as it relates to your work. Let's take a look at an example of global or lifestyle process in a portfolio. In this example, you'll notice that the global process is isolated in its own category referred to as exploration and travel, away from all of the projects used to represent the designer. As we go through and take a look at the images, you see right away that there's a consistent style and a sense of travel, exploration, and wonder throughout the work. Continued scroll through the work gives a sense of the details the designer is looking at and how they see the world around them. Whether it's the close sign, or the gentleman in the wheelchair in front of the storefront, or the empty shoe on top of the platform. All of this information gives a sense of how the viewer sees the world around them and provides a glimpse into who they are as a designer outside of their design work. As design shifts to a more user-centered focus, processes become more important than at any other time in history. Now more than ever, the do-it-yourself mentality, the resources designers use, and the ability to quickly learn technology make the barriers to our tools less intimidating. What designers do offer are ideas and predictable procedures for consistently positive results. Providing a glimpse into the process used to complete a project is a quick and easy way to show how you arrived at an idea or solution. A glimpse of process via pages from your sketchbook, notes on prototypes, or images of user testing can say volumes about who you are as a design professional. Before considering the glimpse method, determine how much process you have to reveal on all of your projects. Part of telling your story is being consistent. Varying the volume of process without clearly describing it can inadvertently show a lack of predictability and consistency. If your first project shows all of your process and the next only a small part of your process, a viewer could assume that the small glimpse of your process represents the entirety of the efforts on the project. Consider using the glimpse method throughout your body of work. If using the glimpse method throughout your portfolio, consider 1 or 2 projects where a deeper dive through your process is provided, but be clear that the process being presented is only a snapshot of your total process. A glimpse may show a page from a mood board, or sketches with notes where you made decisions on the project's direction. Show something that tells a story. By themselves, with no context, sketches show your craft. They show how well you draw, how much detail you use when thinking as well as volume. Aligned with the final result, sketches with notes show your ability to make decisions and move a project forward. When you don't have a large volume of process, or you just don't trust the quality of your process, the glimpse method can provide just enough to give a hiring manager what they need to trust the results. Be consistent in the manner you show each glimpse into your process, and curate your sketches and your notes with the same scrutiny you would curate your finished work. When you don't have a large volume of process, or you just don't trust the quality of your process, the glimpse method can provide just enough to give a hiring manager what they need to trust the results. Be consistent in the manner you show each glimpse into your process, and curate your sketches and your notes with the same scrutiny you would curate your final work. Let's take a look at some examples of the glimpse process in use. Our first example for the logo Flick gives a quick and clear message into how the final mark was presented. As we take a closer look, the word flick and its association with the finger, plus the letters F and L, combined with the chain link tying to social media, gives a clear sense of how the final mark was decided. The finger shape, the chain link, and of course the F and L. Moving on to the next example, the typeface shown here shows a final example, and as you scroll through the project, you see some type specimens associated with the typeface itself. But we also were provided with a quick glimpse into the sketches and the renderings of the typeface on paper so that we get a sense that this wasn't just a project that was jumped into on the computer right away. It gives a sense of the designer behind the result. Another project example with a little bit deeper dive into the glimpse is for Proper Crook, a fictitious restaurant with a Chicago-era 1920s mobster lifestyle feel. A dive into that era provides images and snapshots and contact sheets that give us a sense of not only the subject matter of the image, but more importantly, the designer was able to identify handwritten notes on each one of the contact sheets. This was a regular process in that time, and he's called it out in his website and through his process with the red writing here. Moving on further into the glimpse, we get a sense of the typewriter, calligraphy, and the stamp effect, associated also with the red and blue colors, and we get a sense of how this brand is growing through this glimpse. A final look at the result, and you can see the handwriting, the stamp effects, the calligraphy, and the word proper all didn't come out of thin air. It came from informed decisions and thoughtful approach. Finally, the Afro-Punk Festival is a fictitious festival held in Atlanta, Georgia. A glimpse into the process of this festival gives us our first look at a word list and the values that were used to move and energize the project. The festival is diverse, it's alternative, it's festive, cultural, lively, and edgy. All of those words inform the decisions as we move through the process. A deeper dive into the glimpse provides some quick sketches and visuals showing how the attitude developed, which were then digitized and ultimately grew into a final design mark. Once the mark was decided, it's tied together with supporting typography and different visual assets that can be used throughout the project. As we take a look at how that brand is extended to the media, we can see how it works in practice, and finally, we get a sense of how the marks and the assets are tied in to the attitude of the piece. Again, lively, festive, edgy, and so on. Sometimes you have great process to go along with a great project. You're able to collect notes, mood boards, sketches, low-fidelity prototypes, photos of user testing, and design team jam sessions. You have it all and you want to show it off. In this case, consider an attachment. The penalty for allowing a viewer to get lost in your website can be confusion and lack of trust. When deciding to present something as complex and expansive as the process for an entire project, an attachment will guide visitors to that process quickly and clearly. So what projects are worth an entire process file? Hero projects in your portfolio that reveal all that you bring to the table as a designer are good candidates for process attachments. Complex media, challenging design problems that require a visual system across diverse media outcomes, and large teams are all reasons that a process attachment may be the right way to go. Go easy with process attachments. Providing a high page count process file for all of your projects is not a curated story. Be thoughtful with which projects to provide all of your process. Beginning, middle, and final portfolio projects are a good start. Layer in a glimpse in the body of the portfolio pages and offer the deeper dive on select projects only. Remember, your story must be expertly curated. Don't just deliver everything. Curate your process attachments. Everything is design, and everything tells a story about what type of designer you are. Process files riddled with typos and poorly visualized will deliver the wrong message and could betray the rest of your expertly crafted portfolio. Be smart. Read through your notes. Handwritten or not, revealing process is like allowing someone to glimpse into your design life. Open the blinds and they'll look inside. Assume everything will be viewed and read, and delete anything that may not be worthy of your portfolio. That random thought about the person running a meeting or your fantasy football draft board are not necessary. Remove them. Viewers will often give the benefit of the doubt on handwritten notes, but typed content is another story. All notes presented in typed format must be proofread and edited accordingly. No excuses. The fact that a typo is in your process doesn't excuse the error. When providing a resource as extensive as an entire process file, be considerate of the viewer. How large is the file? How long will it take to download? Where's the link? Can a visitor to your web page quickly and easily access the file, or is it buried below the scroll? Deciding to reveal your process through a file attachment has its advantages. It allows visitors to see what is unique about your working methods. It allows visitors to see how you arrived at a solution, and finally provides an element of trust and reliability in the results of the final, finished work you're presenting throughout your portfolio. Drawbacks can be associated with file size, or confusion where visitors may not understand what they're looking at. Poorly curated process may not reveal the chronology of the process you used to create the project, or how you made the decisions to move through each step. Curate your process as you would curate your final work. Deciding to reveal your process through a file attachment has its advantages. It allows visitors to see what's unique about your working methods. It also allows visitors to see how you arrived at a solution, and finally provides an element of trust and reliability in the results of the final polished work you're presenting throughout your portfolio. Drawbacks can be associated with file size or confusion where visitors may not understand what they're looking at. Poorly curated process may not reveal the chronology of the process or how you made decisions to move through each step. Curate your process as you would curate your final work. Let's take a look at an example of a file attachment option. In this web preview, you see a page with the Lucere brand. Very clearly at the top of the page, you see an option to view the process work. Notice it's not below the scroll. It's at the top. It's right there where everybody can see it. There's no digging. There's no looking for the process. If we click on the link, we get a download. That download provides a 90-page process book that is a deep dive into all of the steps taken to come up with the brand, all the way through the extended visuals that go with it. We're going to take a look at a couple of pages from that book. Immediately, you can see a page with a high volume of sketches and get a sense of how the designer was thinking through the process. What this page shows is that the ideas are disparate. They're not all the same and not all based on each other. A good sense of variety. Moving further into the discovery phase, the designer begins to study logo options in a more formal sense as she moves from sketches to the computer. Again, disparate ideas, very, very different results provide an element of variety. As the logo phase starts to evolve, you see the variety begin to narrow. Now you're starting to get a sense of how the designer is beginning to craft at a high level the detail of the mark. Pushing further, once the logo is decided, you begin to see how icons begin to work in and represent the logo itself. The designer is showing you their entire process. Finally, we get a sense of the final logo and all the manners in which it can be used. With the rise of user experience methods, the case study approach to showing process has become more prevalent in recent years. This approach requires a dedicated visual strategy with your web portfolio that leverages the taxonomy required to provide a chronological order for how a project was completed. It also requires good habits and documentation as you're completing each project. This approach requires more than just sketches and prototypes. It requires a clear story from defining the problem to designing through the solution, including all steps necessary in the final result. In addition to a clear understanding of the process methods being applied, photographs of users, design teams, data collecting, affinity maps, and prototypes are all necessary for the case study method to work effectively. Do you have enough to consider the case study method to revealing process? Is the project worth a case study approach? Small projects that were completed quickly may not be the right projects to rely on a case study method. Consider complex projects with meaningful results in a team-based process for case studies. Do you have enough content to make the case study compelling? Did you understand the process? And can you speak to it if asked? More importantly, can you clearly define your role in the result? Filter your process to provide only the highlights or major turning points. Be clear about your role and provide a compelling message that shows how the project evolved. When revealing process, the case study method can provide a succinct story for visitors to your website. Always start with the final project. It's the first thing visitors want to see, and it'll provide the reason a visitor may want to dig a little deeper into how you and your team achieved the result. Remember, hiring managers are looking for great designers, and designers who will integrate well into their existing teams. Let's take a look at a case study example. The project seen here is a collaboration between Hewlett-Packard and the student's class. The student, in this particular case, focused on the code side of this project. So as we go through this case study, what you'll see are references to things like jQuery and the Google Maps API. You'll also see consistent references to code in general. Screens that give a sense of how the project is going to work and how the experience will load are also provided, as that was the designer's primary focus. Here you can see the different sizes of screens they were dealing with and again a reference to the Maps API, immediately indicating to a viewer that there's something of value here and that they may be able to use. As you shift a little further, you get a sense, again, of the code at the top of the screen, but you also understand that there's a user experience process being used here, a sense of the personas being applied, whether it's Kelly at age 17 or Frank and Francis at age 69 and 67. You get a sense that the designers and the design team were focused on the people that they were designing for. As you move deeper into the case study, you begin to get a sense of the individual experiences within the application, from viewing student work to exploring the area around them, and ultimately to some of the statistics associated with the project itself. The case study can begin to expand deeply into all of the details of the project. And although this is an excellent example of clearly defining the role as a code-focused individual within the team, there's opportunities to present more casual photographs of team-based experiences, either images of team meetings, user-centered testing outside of the office, or any other images that provide a sense that it was a collaborative effort. Overall, your case study should give a clear story and give a sense of who you were and the role you played in the project you're displaying. The single most important part of any portfolio is the body of work. As we've said before, expert curation of your work is paramount to landing your dream job, so take that seriously. Take great care in the story you're telling through your work. You may need to modify your portfolio based on what jobs you're seeking. It's common to pivot your body of work regularly based on interview opportunities. While seeking a job, your portfolio should remain current. Older projects should take a back seat to newer projects, and dated work should only be considered if the client or project are recognizable and can spark an immediate connection or trust. For example, a large brand that is instantly recognizable may not have provided the best results to add to your portfolio. In this case, it may be good to abandon the project and forego the big name in your portfolio. Ultimately, the work is what's going to be assigned to you, not necessarily the brand relationship. Consider the diversity of your projects. How many package design projects, logos, digital work, interface design projects, or typography projects are you showing? Who are you curating your work for? Remember, this is a user-centered world, and visitors to your site are your users. What do you want them to see? Guide them through it. What's your dream job? If your dream job is to work in an elite packaging design firm, curate your body of work to reveal projects that point to their needs. It doesn't all have to be packaging, but it should all present a clear understanding of three-dimensional space and complex design solutions. If your body of work is media diverse, do you show projects that are complex in their media? Can you show how you extend a visual system or brand across a wide variety of media, adapting the visual language while maintaining that brand image? Is all of your work expertly crafted and typographically flawless? After you've collected all your work and related process, it's time to make the necessary cuts. A long work history can be revealed through your resume and written narrative. Today's designers are working on more complex projects than ever before. They're experts at extending brands across media platforms, and their portfolios have to show their expertise. Portfolios that show single posters, small letterhead systems, static web pages, and one-off assignments will only present a lack of diversity and the ability to provide value to more complex scenarios. All work displayed in your portfolio should build trust, and trust is earned through comfort in the complexity of the work you're displaying and the clients you've worked with. If you don't have both, leverage the one you do have. An old adage for sequencing the work in your portfolio was to put your best project first and your second best project last. In other words, start with a bang and end with something memorable. This may hold true in the days when weary job seekers met with hiring managers and delivery of their portfolio was through a face-to-face presentation or interview. But those days are gone, and a web portfolio lives on its own. The pace is dictated by the user, and the sequence is only mildly controlled by the scroll. There are many techniques web designers use to sequence a message. Consider yours. Do you have a hero project? or a project that showcases your skill, your craft, originality, and caliber of your clients you've worked with all in one? If so, showcase it. Place it on your homepage or above the scroll on your portfolio work page. Don't hide it. Don't get cute in how you reveal it. Image thumbnails are great, but they have to give the glimpse that generates an action or a decision to click. Many designers choose to provide the opportunity to present your work in a cascading grid of thumbnails. If you choose this method, place your best work at the top of the cascade and vary the complexity of work and the diversity of what is being presented. By this I mean, projects where you are providing process may be distributed randomly throughout the cascade, and less complex projects randomly distributed throughout that. If you consider this strategy, always identify which projects have a deeper dive by visually indicating through an icon or simply stating process. This gives the viewer a quick indication of where they can go if they're interested in that particular piece. Sequencing your work can happen in a couple of ways. Whether a slideshow on your homepage or cascading work in a grid and varying the visual pattern, always make sure all of the work is of the highest caliber and expertly curated. Vary work where you are showing process throughout your portfolio. Don't weight the first few pieces heavily by placing all of your diversity and process up front, leaving the final few pieces with little to show. Always place your most dynamic and complex work first. If you've been working consistently in print or digital throughout your career, you may find it difficult to provide a look into your ability to work in different platforms. As you make your project selections, catalog each media category as it fits into different projects. Print, digital, mobile, experience design, packaging, interface, etc. If you have gaps, consider whether the gaps will be a detriment to you finding your dream job. If you've worked on a single packaging project in your career and your dream job is to work in a packaging industry, it's time to create some work on your own. Set a brief, work your process, and be sure to keep it all. And demonstrate the results through a high-caliber prototype. If you have no interest in working in the web industry, but your work shows a high volume of screen-based results, consider thinning the web work and diversifying with other results. If your body of work is print-heavy, consider extending projects by adding assets and prototyping scenarios where the visual system or brand is taken beyond the original assignment. Define media diversity and make sure it's right for the job you're seeking. Show them what you can do. As Jimmy Buffett once said, don't try to describe a Kiss concert if you've never seen it. If you don't want to design print, don't fill your portfolio with it. If web isn't for you, reduce the number of web projects you show. A diverse portfolio shows a designer's ability to adapt and extend brand language and visual systems across platforms. In today's design market, media diversity is a valued asset that builds trust that whatever project comes your way, you can work with it. A diversified portfolio allows viewers to gauge your ability to work throughout a broad scope of media in a wide variety of scenarios. Seeing work in the spaces or places it was intended to be used helps viewers get a sense of your intent. Flat work presented as a PDF on its own or websites that are presented as screenshots tell a larger story. It tells the viewer, I don't care. Always present your work in the context it was meant to be used. Can you photograph your package project in a scene that helps convey your intent? A website is better served placed on a computer screen with all of the necessary responsive options. How does it look on a tablet? What does it look like on your phone? With a live link provided if available. Posters? Those too. Composite posters into context where you intend them to exist, or better yet, print them and photograph them in place. Great designers know their user and consider everything part of the message. Flat page spreads only provide a look into two areas of your skill set, style and technique. To provide a deeper, more authentic view of how you see your work, always present projects in the context they were intended to be used. Be cautious of templates. There are many prefabricated templates for designers to use. For example, an over-the-shoulder photograph of someone holding a phone that you can then composite an app screen onto the device. Although not the worst case, always consider using your own photographs to represent your work, as using templates might provide a glimpse into your inability to create it on your own. Remember, everything you present tells a story about who you are as a designer. Templates can send the wrong message, and have unintended consequences depending on the viewer. Templates may give a sense of laziness or lack of authenticity. Hiring managers are looking for great designers, not great design. This sounds crazy, but the former typically informs the latter. Great design can be subjective, depending on who is viewing the work and how the work is presented. Great designers tell a story, adapt to the needs of the people, places, and things they're designing for, and they are authentic. Showing your work in context not only showcases the project, it showcases the care you take in each project. Everything counts. When considering presenting your work in context it was intended to be used, keep in mind that the same care you put into the project itself must be put into the photographic representation of that project. Your photography must be at the same high level you demand from your work, and any Photoshop compositing must be expertly crafted. Hiring managers will often give the benefit of the doubt if they don't care for style, but rarely provide grace when details are missed. Just like poorly crafted typography, poorly crafted and curated images unveil a lack of care and betray your entire portfolio. Today's graphic designers are working on more complex project scenarios than ever before. Sure, projects with diverse outcomes are nothing new, but the diversity of media nowadays is constantly changing, and the manner in which media is consumed is such that the designer must have an insatiable care for how a visual system must work across platforms. Just as it's important for a portfolio to show media diversity, it's equally as important for individual projects to provide a thoughtful look into how you envision a visual solution working across media. Previously, we discussed how all of the projects in your portfolio should be curated to represent media across different platforms. As you curate your work, you want to identify which pieces show single media outcomes. Consider how you might diversify a project by extending its outcome through more media. If print, can you add a digital component? If digital, can you add a printed component? Or can you extend the work to a built environment or environmental graphic solution? How much is enough? Every project in your portfolio may not need to be diversified. If you're great at logo design, presenting a group of logos and the sketch processes that led to the results is great. Extending one or two of the logos to potential use case scenarios will provide viewers with a glimpse into the thoughtful approach you take when considering your solutions. A diversified project has the potential of taking the place of 2 or 3 less diverse projects. When considering very complex and large scope projects, consider showing process and telling a more compelling story as a case study. This type of delivery can almost always count as more than one project. Remember, how you present your work is as important as the work you present. When crafting your portfolio, everything has to be expertly considered when connected to your work. Your portfolio is a story of you, not just of your work. If you use a web-based template, good or bad, viewers will make a judgment on your decisions. If you present great work with poorly crafted contextual photos, your ability to art direct will come into question, and the rest of your portfolio will be questioned. The stakes are high, and hiring managers want to know that they can trust you. Everything counts. The complexity of today's design challenges requires many different skill sets for a successful outcome. Choosing to include collaborative projects in your portfolio is a good idea, but can introduce confusion into the experience if you aren't able to clearly identify what role you played in that project. Although it's a good idea to describe your role in all of your projects and give credit to those who supported your work, ensuring people who are viewing your portfolio know exactly what part of a collaborative project you are responsible for will only help clarify how your skills can be applied. Viewers will immediately interpret your role based on 2 primary areas. First, they'll associate their needs with your work. If they need a designer, they're going to be looking at the design work. If they're looking for someone who's a front-end coder, they're going to be looking at your work through that lens. Second, they'll associate the work in the rest of your portfolio to your role in the collaborative project. If you have displayed significant work related to web, they'll apply that work to the results of the collaborative project. Don't leave room for interpretation. When including collaborative projects, call out your role immediately. Consider a typographic header that states your position on the team. I was the coder. I was the copywriter. I was the art director, or the designer. Were you a front-end developer, and did you code the project? Did you manage user testing or facilitate realization through production of the final result? All of these are important, but without a clear descriptor, your role is left up to interpretation. Consider your hero project and the process that comes with it. While it's important for you to establish a clear path through your process, describing how the result was accomplished, you should also identify your role in the project. Consider visualizing your role by introducing icons where you played an integral part, or color-coding indicators describing your involvement. Be consistent and ensure your visual strategy makes sense. Just like a professional design project, prototype your strategy and user test the idea with your friends and family. Your portfolio is made up of a complex web of your experience, projects, collaboration, and process. Viewers will ultimately make their own decisions based on what you present. It's important to provide clear direction and openly display your role in all of your projects, especially collaborative projects. Be honest and direct your strategy to the role you're seeking. If you want a design position, but your role on a particular project was production manager, consider moving the project later in your portfolio. There's no need to hide it, and your resume will certainly reveal the different positions you've held throughout your career. But guiding viewers based on the position or work they are seeking is important to the success of your portfolio. Building or rebuilding your portfolio can feel overwhelming. You could simply choose to update your work every once in a while, or you could take a more strategic approach. Guided by a clear mission and a focus on your dream job, incredible care should be taken when crafting your story. Catalog your work based on the career you're seeking and the value you add to a design team. Remove work that's dated or shows dated skills. Leverage large brands or recognizable projects when you can, and always show process when available. Today's design teams include a complex tapestry of skill sets and outcomes. Ensure your portfolio represents the diversity of the media you've worked with. Show process when available. If you have no process, the first thing to do is start collecting it now. In the meantime, consider establishing a lifestyle process area for your portfolio. Be honest about your role on each project, and give credit where it's due for those who you've worked with. The decision to reorient your career and consider a new position can be scary. There may be many factors in play when considering a move. With regard to your portfolio, the best approach is to prepare and plan a thoughtful message guided by your mission and expertly curated. Your portfolio is your story. Design is not a 9-to-5 job. It's a lifestyle, and your portfolio is a curated glimpse into you, not just your work. Now that you have a clear understanding of the process necessary to build a complete portfolio that informs the viewers of the critical role you play in a design project, it's time to get started. You may be asking yourself, what if I don't have any process? Or what if I can't show my process? The answers to these questions are simple. If you don't have any process, now's the time to start collecting it. If you can't show process due to a signed agreement, consider adding a lifestyle process to your website, or even better, consider developing some side projects where you can create small glimpses into your work. Use the exercise files from each video to help guide and organize your thoughts as you collect, catalog, and audit all of the work that may represent you. I'm often asked, how many projects is enough? Obviously, the number varies, but a good waypoint is 10. Large, more intense projects with media diversity and process may allow the total number of projects to be a bit smaller. A lot of small projects may require the total number to creep higher. In any case, get the work up. Even 5 expertly selected projects and a story curated to your dream job is better than none. Thank you for taking this journey with me. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on LinkedIn. Now go out and get started, and good luck putting your portfolio together.